A lawyer had just bought a fancy new car and was eager to show it off to his colleagues when an 18-wheeler came out of nowhere and took off the driver's side door with him standing right there. "No!" he screamed, because he knew that no matter how good a mechanic tried to fix it, it would never be the same. Finally, a cop came by, and the lawyer ran up to him yelling, "My Bentley door was just ruined by some foolish driver!" "You're a lawyer, aren't you?" asked the policeman. "Yes, I am, but what does that have to do with my car?" the lawyer asked. "Ha! You lawyers are so materialistic. All you care about is your possessions. I bet you didn't even notice that your left arm is missing, did you?" the cop said. The lawyer looked down at his side and exclaimed, "My Rolex!" A local charity realized that it had never received a donation from the town's most successful lawyer. The volunteer in charge of contributions called him to persuade him to contribute. "Our research shows that out of a yearly income of more than $600,000, you give not a penny to charity. Wouldn't you like to give back to the community in some way?" The lawyer thought about it for a minute and replied, "First, did your research also show that my mother is dying after a long illness and has medical bills that are several times her annual income?" Embarrassed, the volunteer mumbled, No. Second, that my brother, a disabled veteran, is blind and confined to a wheelchair." The stricken volunteer began to stammer out an apology, but was cut off. "Third, that my sister's husband died in a horrific traffic accident," the lawyer's voice rising in indignation, "leaving her penniless with 3 children. The humiliated volunteer, completely beaten, said simply, "I had no idea." On a roll, the lawyer cut him off once again. And I don't give them any goddamn money, so why should I give any to you?" A Chinese doctor can't find a job in a hospital in America, so he opens a clinic and puts a sign outside that reads, "Get treatment for $20. If not cured, get back $100. An American lawyer thinks this is a great opportunity to earn $100 and goes to the clinic. Lawyer: "I have lost my sense of taste." Chinese: "Nurse, bring medicine from box number 14 and put 3 drops in the patient's mouth." Lawyer: This is kerosene." Chinese: "Congrats, your sense of taste is restored. Give me my $20. The annoyed lawyer goes back after a few days to try to recover his money. Lawyer: "I have lost my memory. I can't remember anything." Chinese: "Nurse, bring medicine from box number 14 and put 3 drops in his mouth." Lawyer, annoyed: "This is kerosene. You gave this to me last time for restoring my taste." Chinese: "Congrats, you got your memory back. Give me $20. The fuming lawyer pays him and then comes back a week later determined to get back $100. Lawyer: "My eyesight has become very weak. I cannot see at all." Chinese: "Well, I don't have any medicine for that, so take this $100. Lawyer, staring at the note: "But this is $20, not $100. Chinese: "Congrats, your eyesight is restored. Give me $20. A lawyer was late for an appointment at his office and decided to run a stop sign. As luck would have it, a farmer was proceeding through on his tractor at that very moment, and there was a tremendous crash. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The lawyer decided to go on the offense and jumped out of his car. "You idiot," he yelled. "Why weren't you paying attention? Now I'm going to be late for my appointment. You better believe you're going to regret this day." The farmer calmly surveyed the scene. "Look, young fella, you're all worked up. Neither one of us is hurt. It's just our rides that are a little banged up," he said. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out a hip flask, and offered it to the lawyer. "Here, why don't you take a slug of this whiskey? It'll help you calm down." After a moment, the lawyer accepted and took a deep drink. A bit later, he tipped up the flask and took another swig. Then he returned it to the farmer, who closed the flask and put it away. "Don't you want any yourself?" asked the lawyer. "Not just yet," answered the farmer. "I'll wait until after the police leave." A judge was interviewing a woman regarding her pending divorce and asked, "What are the grounds for your divorce?" She replied, "About 4 acres and a nice little home in the middle of the property with a stream running by." "No," he said. "I mean, what is the foundation of this case?" "It is made of concrete, brick and mortar, Your Honor," she responded. "I mean," he continued, "what are your relations like?" I have an aunt and uncle living here in town, and so do my husband's parents. He said, Do you have a real grudge? No, she replied. We have a two-car carport and have never really needed one. Please, he tried again. Is there any infidelity in your marriage? Yes, both my son and daughter have stereo sets. We don't necessarily like the music, but the answer to your questions is yes. Ma'am, does your husband ever beat you up? Yes, she responded. About twice a week he gets up earlier than I do. Finally, in frustration, the judge asked, Lady, why do you want a divorce? Oh, I don't want a divorce, she replied. I've never wanted a divorce. My husband does. He says he just can't communicate with me. A small-town lawyer called his first witness to the stand in a trial, a 80-year-old woman. He approached her and asked, Mrs. Singh, do you know me? She responded, Why, yes, I do know you, Mr. Kulkarni. I've known you since you were a young boy, and frankly, you've been a big disappointment to me. You lie, you cheat on your wife, and you manipulate people and talk about them behind their backs. Yes, I know you. The lawyer was stunned. Not knowing what else to do, he pointed across the room and asked, Mrs. Singh, do you know the defense lawyer? She again replied, Why, yes, I do. I've known Mr. Gupta since he was a youngster, too. I used to babysit him for his parents, and he, too, has been a real disappointment to me. He's lazy and bigoted, and he has a drinking problem. The man can't build a normal relationship with anyone, and his law practice is one of the shoddiest in the entire state. Yes, I know him. At this point, the judge called both lawyers to the bench. In a very quiet voice, he said with menace, If either of you asks her if she knows me, you'll be jailed for contempt. A beautiful young woman on an international flight asked the priest beside her, Father, may I ask a favor? Of course you may. What can I do for you? Well, I bought this expensive electronic hair dryer that is well over the customs limits, and I'm afraid that they'll confiscate it from me. Is there any way that you could carry it through customs for me? Under your robes, perhaps? I would love to help you, dear, but I must warn you, I will not lie. With your honest face, Father, no one will question you. When they got to customs, the young lady let the priest go ahead of her. The customs officer asked, Father, do you have anything to declare? From the top of my head down to my waist, I have nothing to declare. The officer thought this answer strange, so he asked, And what do you have to declare from your waist to the floor? I have a marvelous little instrument designed to be used on a woman, but which is, to date, unused. Roaring with laughter, the officer said, God bless you, Father. Go ahead. A family of 5 is going on vacation. They've rented an RV for the cross-country trip. They loaded the RV with household items, clothing, recreational gear, pets, and food. Off they go. The car crashes into a brick wall minutes after starting the journey. Everyone is killed except the pet monkey. Police investigate but can't find a reason for the crash. They bring the monkey in for questioning. Police. What was the mother doing before the crash? Monkey pantomimes applying lipstick using the rear-view mirror. Police. She had the mirror turned. This might have caused the crash. Police. What were the kids doing before the crash? Monkey pantomimes, kids fighting. Police. The kids caused a distraction. This might have caused the crash. Police. What was the dad doing before the crash? Monkey pantomimes, drinking out of a bottle. Police. The father was drinking. This might have caused the crash. Police. What were you doing before the crash? Monkey pantomimes, holding a steering wheel and driving. A blonde and a lawyer are on a plane, and they're sitting next to each other. The lawyer gets bored and decides to play a game. He asks the blonde to join. The lawyer says, We'll each ask each other a trivia question. If you get it right, you earn $5. If you get it wrong, the other person earns $5. Well, the blonde isn't really interested. She turns away as if to take a nap. The lawyer says, Okay, how about this? If I ask you a question and you get it wrong, you give me $5. But if you ask a question and I get it wrong, I'll give you $100. Obviously now the blonde is interested, so she decides to play. The lawyer asks his question first. What's the distance between the Earth and the Moon? Well, the blonde doesn't know. So she hands the lawyer $5. Now it's the blonde's turn. She asks the lawyer, What goes up a hill with 3 legs and comes down with 4? The lawyer is stumped. What could possibly go up a hill with 3 legs and come down with 4? He begins to sweat. He starts asking other passengers. He pays for the in-flight internet to email his lawyer friends. Nobody knows. Nobody can help him. Reluctantly, he writes a $100 check to the blonde. She smirks, takes his check, pockets it, and turns over, again wishing to get back to her nap. The lawyer shakes her. "Hey, wait," he said. "What goes up a hill with 3 legs and comes down with 4? The blonde hands him $5. A family took their frail elderly mother to a nursing home and left her, hoping she would be well cared for. The next morning, the nurses bathed her, fed her a tasty breakfast, and set her in a chair at a window overlooking a lovely flower garden. She seemed okay, but after a while she slowly started to tilt sideways in her chair. 2 attentive nurses immediately rushed up to catch her and straighten her up. Again, she seemed okay, but after a while she slowly started to tilt over to her other side. The nurses rushed back and once more brought her back upright. This went on all morning and repeated again the following day. On the second afternoon, the family arrived to see how the old woman was adjusting to her new home. "So, Ma, how is it here? Are they treating you all right?" "It's pretty nice," she replied, "except they won't let me fart." An old couple is celebrating 75 years of marriage. At the party, one of the grandkids asks the grandma what the secret is to such a long, happy marriage, as they never seem to argue or disagree about anything. The grandma tells them a story of when they first got married. "It was our wedding day, and we were very poor, so we were heading to our honeymoon on our donkey and cart. We were about an hour into the journey when the donkey just lay down and wouldn't budge. My new husband said to the donkey, 'That's one.' After a few minutes, the donkey got up and started going again. After another little while, the donkey again sat down and wouldn't move, and my husband said, 'That's 2. Again, eventually the donkey got up and we were on our way. Then eventually the donkey stopped and wouldn't go any further, and without a word my husband got down and shot the donkey in the head and said, 'That's 3. I was so shocked I started screaming at my husband, 'What did you do that for? Are you crazy? That's terrible.' My husband turned to me and he said, 'That's 1. One winter morning during breakfast, a husband and wife in northern Minnesota were listening to the radio. They heard the announcer say, "We are going to have 8 to 10 inches of snow today. You must park your car on the even-numbered side of the street so the snow plows can get through." So the good wife went out and moved her car. A week later, while they are eating breakfast again, the radio announcer says, "We are expecting 10 to 12 inches of snow today. You must park your car on the odd-numbered side of the street so the snowplows can get through." The good wife went out and moved her car again. The next week, they were again having breakfast when the radio announcer said, "We are expecting 12 to 14 inches of snow today. You must park." Then the electric power went out. The good wife was very upset, and with a worried look on her face, she said, "Honey, I don't know what to do. Which side of the street do I need to park on so the snowplows can get through?" With the love and understanding in his voice that all men who are married to blondes exhibit, the husband replied, "Why don't you just leave it in the garage this time?" A guy is playing golf with his wife. They're on the 12th hole, and the guy slices his tee shot right into the woods. He trudges into the woods and locates his ball. It's in a little clearing, but there is a big barn between him and the green. He takes a good look and says, "Listen, honey, I think if you hold the barn door open, I can hit the ball right through the barn and onto the green." So his wife goes over and holds the door open. The guy takes a 4-iron and whack, hits the ball. The ball hits his wife right between the eyes, killing her instantly. Well, it's a year later, and the guy is on the same golf course with his new wife. They're on the 12th hole, and once again he hits a slice into the woods. Shaking his head with disgust, he heads into the woods. Sure enough, his ball is in about the same spot. Sadly, he takes out a 7-iron and lines up to hit the ball sideways back onto the fairway. Before he can take the shot, his new wife says, "Honey, I think I might be able to hold the barn door open for you. That way you can hit the ball through the barn and onto the green." The guy just shakes his head. "No way, dear," he says. "I tried that last year and ended up with a 9 on the hole." A man goes to the hospital. The doctors are pretty used to seeing him by now, as he's notorious for swallowing things he shouldn't be. The last time he was in there, he'd swallowed a battery. That shocked the surgeon removing it. So the doctor sees him. "Good evening. What's the trouble today?" The man replies, "I've swallowed something." The doctor looks at him, already slightly annoyed about the whole thing, and asks, "Will you tell me what it is?" To which the man just says, "No." So the doctor orders an X-ray. A short while later, he gets the pictures back, and sure enough, sitting there in the man's intestine is a key. The doctor looks at the X-ray, thinks for a moment, then tells the man, "Well, it seems you've swallowed a key. It's not particularly large, and luckily for all of us, the point is away from the direction of travel, so you should pass it naturally in the next 6 hours. I recommend you go home and wait for that to happen." The man looks back. "I can't do that, doctor. I'm locked out." One day, a young woman walked into a dentist's clinic. Without a word, she sat down in the chair, unbuttoned her shirt, and removed her bra right in front of the shocked dentist. The dentist's jaw dropped as he quickly turned away and stammered, "Miss, what on earth are you doing? I'm a dentist. I only deal with teeth." The woman, completely calm, replied, "Oh, I know that. I'm here because there's a tooth stuck in my nipple and I need it removed." The geography of a woman as she ages. Between 18 and 22, a woman is like Africa, half discovered, half wild, fertile, and naturally beautiful. Between 23 and 30, a woman is like Europe, well-developed and open to trade, especially for someone of real value. Between 31 and 35, a woman is like Spain, very hot, relaxed, and convinced of her own beauty. Between 36 and 40, a woman is like Greece, gently aging but still a warm and desirable place to visit. Between 41 and 50, a woman is like Great Britain, with a glorious and all-conquering past. Between 51 and 60, a woman is like Israel, has been through war, doesn't make the same mistakes twice, and takes care of business. Between 61 and 70, a woman is like Canada, self-preserving but open to meeting new people. After 70, she becomes Tibetan, wildly beautiful, with a mysterious past and the wisdom of the ages, an adventurous spirit and a thirst for spiritual knowledge. The geography of a man between 1 and 100, a man is like North Korea and Russia, ruled by a pair of nuts. A burglar breaks into a home and holds the husband and wife in it hostage. At gunpoint, he forces the two to sit on chairs facing the opposite way, back to each other, and ties them to the chairs. The burglar slowly and methodically begins stealing from the house. When the burglar has taken everything of value, he gets ready to leave, the homeowners still bound to their chairs, when suddenly the man yells at the burglar, "Please untie her, please let her go." The thief responds with, "No, I'm not untying either of you so that the authorities get notified as late as possible. Don't worry, your neighbors will soon wonder why your lights are still on throughout the night and check in on you long before you succumb to dehydration." The man yet again pleads, "Please just untie her, I'll do anything." The burglar once again explains his reasoning. "I need to get away with this crime. I'm sorry, I can't leave anything up to chance." The man shuffles his chair towards the burglar and in a state of mania exclaims, "I'm begging you, man, just let her go. She won't call the cops, I promise." The burglar, still unwilling to budge, did find it quite touching how much his hostage cared about his wife. "Wow," he said, "you must really love your wife to beg me to untie her so desperately." "No," the man replied in a state of frenzy. "My wife will be home in 15 minutes. One day, Mrs. Jones went to have a talk with the minister at the local church. "Reverend," she said, "I have a problem. My husband keeps falling asleep during your sermons. It's very embarrassing. What should I do?" "I have an idea," said the minister. "Take this hat pin with you. I will be able to tell when Mr. Jones is sleeping, and I will motion to you at specific times. When I motion, you give him a good poke in the leg." In church the following Sunday, Mr. Jones dozed off. Noticing this, the preacher put his plan to work. "And who made the ultimate sacrifice for you?" he said, nodding to Mrs. Jones. "Jesus!" Jones cried as his wife jabbed him in the leg with the hat pin. "Yes, you're right, Mr. Jones," said the minister. Soon Mr. Jones nodded off again. Again, the minister noticed. "Who is your Redeemer?" he asked the congregation, motioning towards Mrs. Jones. "God," Mr. Jones cried out as he was stuck again with the hat pin. "Right again," said the minister, smiling. Before long, Mr. Jones again winked off. However, this time the minister did not notice. As he picked up the tempo of his sermon, he made a few motions that Mrs. Jones mistook as signals to bayonet her husband with the hat pin again. The minister asked, "And what did Eve say to Adam after she bore him his 99th son?" Mrs. Jones poked her husband, who yelled, "You stick that goddamn thing in me one more time and I'll break it in half and shove it up your ass." "Amen," replied the congregation. A man went to the doctor. He said, "Doc, you have to check my leg. Something's wrong. Just put your ear up to my thigh. You'll hear it." The doctor cautiously placed his ear to the man's thigh, only to hear, "Give me $20. I really need $20. "I've never seen or heard anything like this before. How long has this been going on?" the doctor asked. "That's nothing, Doc. Put your ear to my knee." The doctor put his ear to the man's knee and heard it say, "Man, I really need $10. Just lend me $10. "Sir, I really don't know what to tell you. I've never seen anything like this." The doctor was dumbfounded. "Wait, Doc, that's not it. There's more. Just put your ear up to my ankle," the man urged him. The doctor did as the man said and was blown away to hear his ankle plead, "Please, I just need $5. Lend me $5, please, if you can." "I have no idea what to tell you," the doctor said. "There's nothing about it in my books," he said as he frantically searched all his medical reference books. "I can make a well-educated guess, though. Based on life and all my previous experience, I can tell you that your leg appears to be broken in 3 places." A doctor, a priest, and an engineer go golfing. After only a few rounds, they get caught behind the worst group of golfers they've ever seen. After growing impatient from waiting for them to finish their holes, they go into the clubhouse to complain. "Let me explain," says the manager. "You see, those men all used to be firefighters, some of the best our city has ever seen. There was a fire here at the clubhouse about 5 years ago. Those heroic men saved our clubhouse from the fire. However, most unfortunately, they all lost their sight in the terrible fire. Since then, they are welcome to use our facilities for life. It's the very least we could do." The priest looks forlorn and says, "I'm so sorry to hear it. I will hold a prayer service this Sunday dedicated to these men." The doctor says, "What an awful thing. I know a highly regarded optometrist who has done some research that might be able to help them. I'll arrange for them to meet as soon as I can." The engineer thinks for a moment and says, "Why can't they golf at night?" As the result of an accident, a man lost teeth and had to have a partial plate made. His dentist built a standard dental plate and fitted it into his mouth, and it worked just fine. In 3 months, the man was back at his dentist. The dentist looked in his mouth, and the plate he had just put in was so deteriorated it was beyond repair. The dentist was shocked that it had only lasted 3 months, so he constructed a new plate and had stainless steel used as the basis. But again, in about 3 months, the patient was back, and the stainless steel plate was corroded and failing. This time, he had the plate made with titanium, but once more, it only lasted a matter of months before deteriorating beyond repair. Totally baffled, he sent the patient to a dental professor known to be an expert in the construction of dental plates to see if he could solve this puzzle. The professor examined his mouth and quizzed the man about his dental hygiene and diet. "There must be something very acidic that you eat a lot of," the dentist said. "To tell the truth," the man replied, "my wife makes the absolute best hollandaise sauce in the world. I put it on everything." "Aha!" the professor exclaims. "Have your dentist make you a new plate out of chrome and you shouldn't have any more problems." "Chrome?" the patent asks. "Why chrome?" "Because," the dentist replies, "there's no plate like chrome for the hollandaise." A man walks out to the street and catches a taxi just going by. He gets into the taxi and the cabbie says, "Perfect timing, you're just like Frank." Passenger: "Who?" Cabbie: "Frank Feldman. He's a guy who did everything right all the time." Passenger: "There are always a few clouds over everybody." Cabbie: Not Frank Feldman. He was a terrific athlete. He could have won the Grand Slam at tennis. He could golf with the pros. He sang like an opera baritone and danced like a Broadway star, and you should have heard him play the piano. He was an amazing guy. Passenger. Sounds like he was really something special. Cabbie. There's more. He had a memory like a computer. He remembered everybody's birthday. He knew all about wine, which foods to order, and which fork to eat them with. He could fix anything. Not like me. I change a fuse and the whole street blacks out. But Frank Feldman could do everything right every single time. Passenger. Wow, what a guy. Cabbie. He always knew the quickest way to go in traffic and avoid traffic jams. Not like me, I always seem to get stuck in them. But Frank, he never made a mistake, and he really knew how to treat a woman and make her feel good. He would never answer her back even if she was in the wrong, and his clothing was always immaculate, with his shoes highly polished too. He was the perfect man. He never made a mistake. No one could ever measure up to Frank Feldman. Passenger. How did you meet him? Cabbie. I never actually met Frank. He died, and I married his wife. Old lady gets into a Mercedes-Benz taxicab. As she hops in, the driver asks her where she's going. She gives him an address, as she's just arrived in town to visit family. They keep going for a bit when the old lady notices the very characteristic Mercedes-Benz ornament emblem mounted on the hood. So what is that thing for? She asks the driver. The driver sees this as a chance to prank the old woman for some laughs. That's a sight that I had installed so I can aim my targets better, he answers. What do you mean by targets? She asks. Well, you see that cyclist over there cycling along the road. Well, I hate those cyclists, so I'm going to run over him. As the woman gasps, he proceeds to accelerate and drive directly towards the unaware cyclist, but in the last moment he turns the wheel to dodge the cyclist. But there's a loud sound that surprises the driver. What was that sound? He asks. Well, you can say whatever you want about that fancy sight of yours, but if I hadn't opened the car's door, we wouldn't have hit that goddamn cyclist. There was once a Viking warrior so fierce and powerful that no one dared to challenge him in battle. Seeking a new test of his abilities, he took up a different kind of conquest, staring contests. Sailing across Europe, he challenged anyone brave enough to face him, boasting that he had never lost. To make things more interesting, he even promised to give up all the gold he had pillaged to anyone who could defeat him. Word of his challenge spread far and wide, eventually reaching an Irish couple with a very unusual daughter. She had been born without eyelids. Believing she was destined to win, her parents sent a messenger inviting the Viking to Ireland for a showdown. The Viking, eager to prove himself, accepted the challenge and set sail the very next day. When he arrived, the contest began. Hours passed, then days. Nearly a week later, the Viking's eyes remained wide open, unblinking. At last, the exhausted girl admitted defeat, forfeiting the match. Her baffled mother turned to her husband. How in the world did he keep his eyes open for so long, even against someone with no eyelids? Her husband sighed and shook his head. I don't know, dear. But you can lead a Norse to daughter, and you still can't make him blink. An old man was walking through the desert with his donkey when he arrived at a village. The villagers welcomed him warmly, offering him food, shelter, and care for his donkey. During dinner, they served him camel milk. Surprised, he asked why they drank something so bitter. We have no choice, said the village chief. We've been cursed with an everlasting drought. Water is so scarce that we save every drop for our crops. The old man stroked his beard thoughtfully. As it happens, I am one of the wise. I know how to bring rain, but first you must bring me a large bucket full of water. I need some to summon more. The villagers, desperate for relief, gathered every last drop they had. By morning, they had just enough to fill a bucket and presented it to the old man. He took the water, walked into his host's house, and shut the door. Moments later, a curious child peeked through the window and gasped, running back to alert the villagers. By the time they burst in, the old man had already finished washing his clothes and was calmly hanging them to dry. Shame! Shame on you, old man! The chief bellowed. Our children go thirsty, and you wasted our last water on laundry? But just as he finished speaking, the sky darkened. Clouds gathered overhead. Moments later, rain poured down, heavy and unrelenting, lasting for 5 days straight. The village's reservoirs overflowed. Their crops thrived. The people celebrated, and the old man was honored as a hero. Even the chief apologized for ever doubting him. As the old man prepared to leave, the curious child finally worked up the courage to ask, "But how did you do it? How did you bring the rain?" The old man smiled and shrugged. "Simple. It always rains when I hang my clothes to dry."